Hi, today we're going to show you how to take a ordinary door handle, vintage here we have, and turn it into a knob, which can be used for a cabinet, dressers, even make your own coat rack. To do this, you're going to need a screwdriver, obviously your doorknobs, some tape. Any tape will do. We just happen to have painter's tape available, and some 5-minute epoxy. Then you're also going to want a toothpick, something to put your epoxy on, and your screw. Additionally, these are hollow knobs, so we're going to want to fill them. So I have some paper also to the side, but we'll get to that in a moment. So the first thing you're going to want to do, take the set screws out. And these are pretty easy to do. I'm going to do both here. Kind of twist it once it gets going. Okay. Put that to the side. The next thing you want to do is just cover that hole. And that's where your tape comes in. The reason you want to cover that hole is because you want to make sure that your epoxy does not drip out. So you don't need a huge piece, just a little square piece, and get that hole covered. Okay. Now these knobs are hollow, so that's where the paper comes in. We have to fill it up, otherwise your epoxy is just going to run down into the bottom of it. Now we're using paper. What would probably be best is some sort of molding clay. You might even use sand. That may make the knob very heavy though, but for today's demonstration we're just going to use some paper. So all I've done is cut some strips up, wrap them up, and you're just going to go ahead and stick that in there. And you can take your screw and just push it down in there. The other important thing to do is find your screw that's going to fit down into the hole of your doorknob. Now I've gone ahead and pre-filled this doorknob, so you don't have to sit here and watch me fill paper into a hole. The next thing we're going to want to do, again, test your screw, get it, you want to have it just about, well, it depends on the wood, but about a 1/2 inch where it's poking out there. And there you can see it's poking out about a 1/2 inch there. Okay. So now we're going to go to our epoxy. There's simple directions on the back, so if you've not used it before, but basically you want to just put even pressure on both sides and squirt out equal amounts of your epoxy onto your piece of paper here. Now we're going to take our toothpick and just mix it, and you want to make sure you mix it really good. Now what we're going to do is just take some big globs here, and we're going to set it into the hole. And get it good and around the sides. Put some down in the bottom there. You get a little, like I just did, some on the sides. We'll quickly wipe that off in a moment. Just get it good and down in there and around the sides. Next thing you want to do is put some epoxy right around your screw. Get it all covered up. And we may need a little more here. I'm going to put a little more out there. So you want to make sure your screw too is good and saturated with the epoxy. And I'm just kind of globbing it on there. Now we're going to put it down into the hole. You want to make sure, it's very important that you're going to have to hold it a little bit, but it's very important that you have this centered and it's not wobbly, because it will not sit flush if you do not have it centered into the doorknob. Now you just want to hold it until it kind of sets up, and it should just take a couple of minutes. But if you feel it's still wobbly, just take your toothpick with your epoxy that you have and just put it down into the center hole there. Now again, this epoxy is supposed to dry in 5 minutes, and it does. But I would not recommend using this right away. You want to give it at least an hour before you use it. We usually do these and then we wait until the next day even. But within an hour it should be good and ready to use. Now you can use this technique on just about anything. Here's some examples that we have already done. This one is a wood door handle. It was not hollow, so we just had to get the screw. It did have the hole, so but it wasn't as deep, so we just had to have the right screw to fit in there. And then we also did it on this seltzer bottle handle, as you can see in there. We filled the hole again and found a screw that would fit it, and there you go. These are all ready to use now for a coat rack or knobs on a dresser, whatever creative idea you can come up with. Well, thanks so much. I hope you enjoyed the video and you learned something new. And this is Beth from A Cottage Vine. Thank you.